ADHD brain was struggling big time, having too many different bits of information in too many spreadsheets. And the second I think, I need to go and get that information from the other spreadsheet, I'd half open it up and I'd go on another side quest because I realized I needed to rename a file and move it over there. And suddenly I'm building an automation to move the file and I'm 10 steps away from where I needed to be. Welcome to the Differently Aligned podcast for neurodivergent business owners. I'm Adina Levy. I'm an autistic ADHDer, business coach, speech therapist, professional educator, and multiple business owner. I support neurodivergent business owners to create businesses that are sustainable, enjoyable, impactful, profitable, and burnout free. I provide safe spaces for you to share with like-minded community who get it, me included. Everyone is welcome here, whatever your neurotype, gender, race, any other intersections, and special, fantastic, unique things that make you, you are welcome here. This podcast is recorded on the Aboriginal lands of the Gadigal and Bidjigal people. I acknowledge the traditional owners, elders past and present, and I extend my respect to any First Nations people who are listening in. Hi friends, I want to share a bit of behind the scenes in my own business today. I'm going to tell you about the systems and tools that I'm currently using in my business as an autistic ADHDer. And I've kind of put them into two buckets, like which parts of the systems or which systems support autistic me and which parts of the systems or which systems support ADHD me. The big idea here in this episode and in kind of everything I share and teach with how you do business is that you need to figure out the way that you need to do business. So these are examples of what I use and what I find helpful, and also what I find helpful sometimes is hearing what other people use in their business. So I hope that this is useful for you. I'm not saying that you have to do exactly what I'm doing, but they could be things that I share where it sounds like a tool that will be really useful or a way of using a tool that will be useful for you and will fit your brain and your business, and then, give it a go. I do have affiliate links for some of the tools that I'll be mentioning, and they are in the show notes. So if you do click on them and you do end up signing up and it works for you, thank you, awesome. And I will get a small percentage of the amount that you pay that business, and that will come to me as a little thank you. And I say thank you to you, but also no pressure. I really encourage you to find the tool that fits you best. These are the ones that I happen to really, really like at the moment. I'm looking at my list and none of them are perfect. There's something about each platform that I wish could be different. And that's just the nature of, platforms and, life. Nothing's perfect. But I find these are the best of the bunch. This is, in many cases I've tried other versions and this is where I've landed and I really like what I'm using. In some cases, I love what I'm using. And in many cases, I find little hacks around what isn't perfect. So in terms of the apps that I'll be sharing that I do have affiliate links for in the show notes, that would be Capsule CRM, Descript for video and audio recording and editing, and Kit, which used to be called ConvertKit, which is where I send all my emails from, and Kajabi, where I host all my courses and membership and webinars and things like that. So let me dive in and share first what autistic me needs from these digital platforms and systems, and I'll tell you what I'm using and how they help autistic side of me. So one that I use a lot, actually this is two. ClickUp is what I use for project management and task management, and also Google Chat. I think it used to be called Google Hangouts Chat and now it's back to just Google Chat. These are the two main tools that I use to communicate with my VA. Generally, we're communicating in terms of tasks. So literally, it's just tasks on her list that are, part of our system inside ClickUp. And sometimes we use chat. And then sometimes, probably about once a month, we have a Zoom meeting. And that's where we'll meet and talk things through. And, that is much more peopling than I often want to do and have capacity to do if that was a more regular thing. It's really lovely to have it every few weeks. And that's the pattern we have at the moment. And it works really well for us. The reason this supports autistic me is because I have a very limited social capacity. If I socialize and talk all day long to other people, I burn out. If I do that for too many days. If I do it on just one day, the next day I am a complete potato. I have to really carefully measure and watch out, how much I am peopling on every day of my life, basically. So it really works well for me to have someone supporting me in my business. In fact, I've got two people supporting me at the moment. And in both cases, we predominantly communicate via chat and sort of typing chat. So I find that really works for my own social capacity. Autistic me loves detail. I mean, if you want to know how long it took me to set up this background, if you're watching on YouTube, I've got like my lights and my board with the fairy lights, and I've got my colorful light, and I've got my pictures, and everything's lined up just how I wanted it. And I spent 3 hours maybe setting it up in the first instance, and also making sure I could continue to almost replicate it in future videos. So I actually have like little tape markers where things like my monitor stand goes, and markers for like how high the desk goes. It's very detailed, and I documented it very detailed. Yes. So I put a lot of effort into that. That's just an example of how my brain goes to detail. I can so easily lose sight of the big picture unless I make it really, really easy and obvious for me to see the big picture. So one thing I've done this year is I have set up 4 strategic goals for my businesses. So both of my businesses are operating under wanting to further myself and the business along the same 4 strategic goals. And in my task list, anything that comes up as a kind of project type task. So I'm not talking about the repetitive tasks that have to happen, like uploading my invoices to Xero so that my accountant can finish doing all the bookkeeping because, oops, I've got to do that later today. You know, those things, they just have to happen. They've got to happen. But I'm talking about anything that's like an optional project where I think, ooh, should we do this kind of group in the business? Should I put out this resource? Should I, update social media processes in this kind of way? I have to sense check and check that it fits the 4 strategic goals. So I'm going to share them with you now. And you know what? They're not in my brain, but they are on my whiteboard just over and above my, I'm at my desk. I can see it. I can see it there. And the same 4 strategic goals with the same color coordination appears in my ClickUp boards so that we can see how any particular project or activity that we want to do, I have to map it to one of these strategic goals. Sometimes it spans a couple of them, so I pick which strategic goal it's most aligned with. If it doesn't match any of the strategic goals, I think I need to say, don't do it right now. I put it on my one-day list. Anyway, 4 strategic goals are increase profit, build profile, streamline, and enhance quality. I can go into them one day. Maybe I will. Let me know if you want to know more about why I picked those and what I mean by them and how I'm doing them, how we're working towards them. We could go there. Anyway, so this is the bigger idea for me, is that I keep the big picture in focus by continuing to map things back to the big where I want to head. The way that I've built my businesses to fit my energy, and so much of my energy I kind of map to my autistic side. Like when I was seeing clients about 20 hours a week, I was in absolute maximum burnout. And when I had a little bit less of a client load, but I was supporting team members many, many hours a week, also led to giant burnout. So I know for myself that I work really well when I can teach one-to-many. I can talk to my computer for a bunch of hours, and hopefully this podcast will reach the ears of hundreds of people. Like, oh, that is so cool. And the eyes of many of you if you're on YouTube. So cool. And I can sell one webinar. I can record it once, and then I can sell it to 200, 300, 400 people. Like, these are real numbers from my businesses, and it's flippin' delightful. So it really, really suits my energy. I want to make an impact in the world. I want to change the world. I want to help lots and lots of people. But the only way I can do that is in this one-to-many model. I can't possibly have the number of one-on-one clients that would bring me the same revenue and income. I wouldn't make the same impact also, but I couldn't do that. I would burn out. So I know that about myself. I've done the learning. I've had the problems. I've lived through it. I've got myself to a point where my business model fits my energy. And the way I do that predominantly is with Kit, so Convert, where I send emails to, for Play, Learn, Chat, it's above 20,000 each week. People get my regular emails. For this business, for the neurodivergent business coaching and consulting business, the email list is currently 5,500 or so. People each week get my emails, and I feel so grateful every time I press send, even if there's a typo. I'm okay with it. I hope you are too. I'm so proud of the fact that I've built this platform where I can share my ideas, my tips, my supports with so many people without me having to say it to each one of the 5,500 people individually, because, that wouldn't happen. So Kit and Convert Kit is, one of the biggest pieces of my business puzzle. And Kajabi is where I host the videos and, courses, paid webinars, things like that. So Kajabi does have email list capacity. I don't use that. I really wanted the more fully featured versions in Kit. So I sync them up. And how I sync them up, how I connect everything is with using Zapier and Make. So the two main automation systems that I use. And it kind of depends on how complex the automation is, what's available on each platform. Each one has slightly different things that they're able to like use as triggers or actions. So there's some things that I simply can't achieve in the other platforms. So I use one. If it's high volume of automations that are going to be happening a lot, I use Make because it's cheaper for the number of things automated. So I balance it out pretty carefully to make it like effective, efficient, and it's complex when you look at it from the outside in, but it works for me. And it allows so many things to happen in my business. These workflows that happen that, humans don't have to do it. It reduces errors. And if there is an error, I get a little email that comes in and tells me, hey, there's an error. So it's something I have spent a lot of time setting up. I continue to iterate and improve. Using automation, I will say it's a massive special interest of mine. It's an utter joy when I can kind of crack an automation. What I mean by that is if I have something in my mind, I think I really want to automate that thing. I need to do it. I have this burning desire, and that's probably autistic and ADHD me coming in together to contribute. There's like hyper focus, and then there's special interests, and then there's this deep sense of needing to complete loops. I put that to autistic me, like really like perfectionist kind of tendencies where I want to finish the thing. I need to complete the loop. And okay, so the downside, it can lead me to staying up super late at night if I'm in the middle of figuring out a workflow. It is basically impossible for me to stop and to step away and go to bed. Like I pretty much can't. And I've sort of learnt to kind of affirm that in myself and try to build my life around that, so that some nights I know when I kind of want to work late at night. My brain ticks in a certain way late at night, but I have to make sure I'm looking after my sleep. So one of the ways I've balanced that, this is not a tool, this is just kind of a bigger scheduling thing. I almost never have anything in my calendar before 11 a.m. It allows me to have a bit more of a flexible morning. Like I can have a slower burn. Like I do have to drop the kids off, but once I've done that, I haven't yet ever had a post drop-off nap. I could, the option's there, but I can just take a little bit longer to ease into the day if my brain is not on yet. Anyway, that's a little sidebar, little extra hack thing that I do to accommodate myself. But basically, automations, they make my heart sing, but they make my business sing as well. P.S. I do take on a very, very small number of one-on-one clients to support you to systematize, streamline, and put automations into your business. I can even do one-off consults on occasion. Please do feel free to reach out. I've got the link to my one-on-one coaching waitlist in the show notes. So you can pop yourself on the waitlist and let me know, what's going on for you, what you're after. And in some cases, I can accommodate that. Short term, it depends what's going on in my business, but there is a bit of a waitlist. So that's something I would love to help you with. However, I'm going to interrupt myself here to say there is another way that I can support you in this. I have a very comprehensive on-demand course called Streamline Your Business for Time Freedom, which I've designed specifically for neurodivergent business owners like me, like you. But even if you're not quite like me and you're not friends with automations yet, and you're not a systems thinker, I have aimed to make it really, really digestible and broken up into these kind of small segments where you can figure out where do you start with systematizing and automating your business, what's most important for you, and you can take those steps bit by bit. I do tutorials, I've got tools, I've got resources, I've got examples. It is broken down in a way that if you are a little bit tech savvy, but you're not into the automations world, it is for you. If you're really into automations world, I also think it is for you. I think it will help you also see so many ways that you can put streamlining and automating into your business to make things work better for your brain. It's the most affirming thing you can do for yourself. Let the robots do the robot jobs so that you, the human, and any other humans in your business can get on with doing the human-y jobs that you enjoy most. So that is linked in the show notes. And as a fabulous podcast listener, you actually get 20% off. So use the code POD20 and you'll get 20% off the Streamline Your Business for Time Freedom course. Anyway, I've interrupted myself here. I'm going to keep telling you now about some of the other tools that help autistic part of my brain and ADHD part of my brain in business. This is one I spoke about in a recent episode on the podcast. It's episode 27. I was talking about how to deal with rejection-sensitive dysphoria, and if you have this kind of people-pleasing streak, one of the key ways you can help yourself out there, and one of the ways that I help myself here, is with templated emails. So I was using Help Scout for a while. I'm now back to using Gmail, and I use template emails very thoroughly in there, especially for anything that feels a little bit hard for me to say. If it's a no or if it's following up on a missed payment, I make sure that if it's not automated, it's at least templated. So it's really easy for me to just do the communication that needs to happen, even if it feels quite aversive and I don't want to do it. I don't want to say it, but I know I need to. So template emails, go do those. Pretty much every email system has some capacity for this kind of thing. Spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. Oh my gosh, I love spreadsheets. Come and talk spreadsheets to me if you do too. And even if you don't, you probably need spreadsheets. So I have also recently talked about shifting to a full CRM system, which I had and then didn't have, and now I have again. And part of the aim of that is to kind of reduce the spreadsheets, but there's still a massive place for spreadsheets in my business. And I love spreadsheets. I really do. I use Google Sheets. I find it really, really useful, flexible. It fits in with all the automations that I have set up as well. And you can just do so much data crunching and manipulation and graphs and make it pretty. I like to make it pretty too. What do I do in spreadsheets? I do everything. One of the most important ones in my business is my master sales spreadsheet. It's kind of a backup in a way. It's how I first created it. It compiles every single sale that comes through both of my businesses through all the different channels. Sometimes sales come through Kajabi. Sometimes it's a manual invoice. For example, if it's for a speaking gig or a team is paying for their access to like multiple people accessing my courses for Playland Chat, that comes through kind of different channels. There's 2 different Kajabi accounts. Sometimes people put payments into Acuity Calendar if they're booking a coaching session with me. That's another channel. All of these channels funnel payments through my spreadsheet, and also they go into my Xero, my invoicing system as well. There's a few reasons I keep using the spreadsheet, and I've actually been adding to it recently. One is it's not beautiful, but it's a really cohesive central point where I can get overviews and I can then pull out other data and information as needed. I can add to the data, I can enrich the data, I can upload the data and improve that data in my CRM as well for, future better tracking. For example, how much is the lifetime value of a particular person? Like how much money have they spent with my business? What are the ways that people found me initially compared to what did they then buy from me? And how long did it take for them to buy the thing? All of these bits of data can really help once I get more systematized in how I analyze them. I'm always getting more and more systematized. They can really help with smart business decisions and, for example, deciding to funnel my ad spend in the ways that are most profitable rather than just wherever I think might be most useful, but just I'm guessing. I also use Descript, which I have a love-hate relationship with. Sometimes it frustrates the heck out of me. It is so far from perfect. Sometimes it misaligns video and audio and we spend way too long trying to realign it. But anyway, overall, it's a really great tool and I haven't found anything near better. So I still really recommend it, but just note of caution. None of these platforms are perfect, but it's really, really good. Why I love Descript. I sometimes don't feel like talking or hearing stuff. And I am very text-based. I love reading, I love words, I love writing. So for me, Descript is amazing because I can record, for example, a podcast like this, and I or my VA can edit by finding the bits of text, like it transcribes the whole thing. We can just select in text-based form and go delete those words, or even copy those words, move them over there, and it changes the whole audio file or video and it moves things around, but it's text first almost. And I haven't come from the world of video editing or audio editing. I do know a lot about waveforms and audiograms and, the ways that things we say and how they translate to the waveforms. I actually love that. I love that in linguistics. When I was in my undergrad degree, there's the option to deal with the timeline down the bottom that has, the visual of how loud things are and so on. And you can realign things. Anyway, it's such a visual way and beautifully text-based way of dealing with audio and video. It works so beautifully for my brain. It's got a few different ways you can interact with it. So I think it works for many different kinds of brains. So I want to say I wholeheartedly recommend it. I most heartedly recommend it. It's got some amazing tools and I don't even use most of them, but there's some AI tools in there for repurposing and writing summaries and all kinds of things. I'm just starting to explore them now, how I can use them better in my business. Again, none of them are perfect. I feel like we're in this sort of dawn of AI, like the early kind of phases in a way in terms of AI reaching consumers. And everything's kind of work in progress, but it's got some amazing tools. It's very visual. I like it. Go and check it out. I do have the link in the show notes for my affiliate link. So if you are curious about Capsule, Descript, Kit, or Kajabi, I've got the affiliate links there. I'll also link to all the other tools that I'm talking about as well that I'm not yet an affiliate for. Let's do ADHD me? Okay, ADHD me enjoys business with the help of platforms. Some of them are the same as the other platforms, but the reasons the ADHD brain likes it is, maybe a little bit different. So when it comes to tasks and project management, which is such a challenging area for ADHDers, some of the most common things that my clients and my community members talk about are things like, find it really hard to know what to focus on. Everything feels urgent at once. I mean, I know this. I live it. I live it every single day. Where ClickUp comes into play for me is I can find it really easy to see what is urgent and really important and really needs to be done. And also what else is kind of on my mind of like projects and ideas and things and tweaks and kind of like a menu of options. And it allows me to try really, really hard. Most business days, most work days, I allow myself a mix of the urgent, important stuff, which hopefully I enjoy, but not always. Sometimes it's boring. Okay. A mix of that stuff with some of the exciting, fun, dopamine-inducing, whatever's caught my eye, my brand new idea, whatever. I try to blend both of them into my day. So I'm not only doing one or the other. And it helps me keep a decent pace between like innovation and flowing with ADHD brain, allowing the creativity and that excitement and hyper-focus to sometimes step to the front, but hopefully not miss too many of the have to do things. So for me, finding a balance between those two types of tasks is really important, and being able to see easily what is the urgent, important task and what is an option of a fun, exciting, catching my eye kind of task. And that's what really helps me be able to pick the tasks and get that mix right. I don't always get it exactly right. I'm always tweaking it, but, having it all in ClickUp helps me big time. My whiteboard that I mentioned earlier, where I've got my strategic goals, it's up there and it helps me so much. I have a section where I've got like my strategic goals. They're stable. They just live there. And then I've got a section for each business and what's on that week. And if I'm selling something and I have a goal for how many spots I want to sell, I keep it visual. I do like a circle and I might put the person's initials or a tick when that spot is filled. At the moment of recording, I'm running a lead generation activity for Play, Learn, Chat called the Explore Your Affirming Practice podcast training. And it's like a private podcast feed and people can sign up and I get their email address and they get access to the private podcast. And so I've got that set up. My goal is to have 1,500 people registered between organic and paid. I currently have 353 people registered, and most of that is organic, people who are already on my list or they've come through social media, and some of them I've just started running ads, so some people are coming through ads. Anyway, there's a little sidebar. So I have a little line with kind of bits broken up. It's kind of every 100. So I basically got like every 100 little blocks. I just do an update every day. How am I going? Keeping things visual, front of mind, that's the point here. I make it so easy for me to remember what am I focusing on this week, and if I'm trying to achieve a goal, how am I going towards that? That is what the whiteboard serves for me. And yes, it's got pretty colors too. A little tool that I love, it's only little, but it's really important, and it's called Momentum. So I use Chrome on my computer for web browsing, and it's an add-on called Momentum. And it's just set up that anytime I open a new tab, that's what opens up, not like Google search or something else. And it puts front and center a Pomodoro timer. If you don't know about Pomodoros, go and look that up. I can set these like periods of time to focus, and I can even say, I will focus on, and go like 20 minutes, go. And it will just give me a little like chime when that time's up and encourage me to give a 5-minute break. I never quite manage only 5 minutes. I always side quest into something else. But anyway, it also has beautiful pictures in the background. And it's got some other features. I think I went to the Plus version. I paid for a little bit. You don't need to. You can. I don't know. It's fine. But yeah, it's a really sweet little add-on that can just make it very easy to go, oh, I'm going to set a timer and do the thing. So yes, I like that. Momentum on Chrome. I've got 2 more tools that I'll be sharing that ADHD me enjoys, or what helps my brain do business. One is Capsule CRM, which I mentioned I'm in the process of still setting up and building to how I need it. It will be the central brains of any human contact in the business. So while ClickUp will maintain, being the project management, task management, Capsule CRM is the hub of anyone who buys my things or is very interested in my things. So that is so important for me to have it all in one place, because ADHD brain was struggling big time, having too many different bits of information in too many spreadsheets. And the second I think, I need to go and get that information from the other spreadsheet, I half open it up and I'd go on another side quest because I realized I needed to rename a file and move it over there. And suddenly I'm building an automation to move the file and I'm 10 steps away from where I needed to be. So keeping it all in one place, keeping it streamlined, keeping it all like visually available as well, especially for pipelines of like leads. So I can go in and have a look. Who are we currently discussing things with? What needs to be followed up? All of these things can be, front of mind because I can see them very, very easily and quite visually as well. And lastly, my buddy ChatGPT. So I use ChatGPT so much. I do also experiment and explore with other LLMs, other AI tools. And just at the moment, others that I've been looking at and using a bit is Perplexity, Claude, and Notebook LM, and Gemini. Those last two are both from Google. There's interesting use cases and tools and things coming in all of the above. It's kind of a fascinating space. I love watching it develop. But basically, ChatGPT is my main AI buddy, and I have a whole video in my Neurodivergent Business Collective resources. So if you're a member, you can go and find it. If you're not a member, follow the link in the show notes. Go and add yourself to the waitlist for the next round. My Neurodivergent Business Collective members have this video, which is all about me teaching how I use ChatGPT as a thinking partner. And I find it particularly helps ADHD me if I feel a little bit stuck with task initiation, like I just don't know how to break down this task. So I'm going to give the example of this morning. I knew that I wanted to record 4 podcast episodes. I had that as my plan for today. And so I went to the cafe to start my day because it's Monday and that's what I try to do. And I knew the task at hand at that point was to plan out what are the topics of these 4 podcast episodes going to be. And so rather than turning up, blank page, looking at ClickUp going, okay, what am I going to put as the topics for episodes 27, 28, 29, and 30? I am actually going to do it systematically. So my content planning system always starts with, what am I selling? What's the promotion or what's the phase? What's going on in my business at the time that the thing will come out? And therefore, what do I need to be talking about to link in with that? And so as you can hear, I'm talking all about streamlining, systematizing, automating these last few weeks. And that's because I want to help you connect up with my amazing course, Streamline Your Business for Time Freedom. And I'm so proud of it. Honestly, it is absolutely hugely groundbreakingly life-changing. Once you go through the course, you are going to shift how you do business. You're going to shift how the burden of admin tasks and nitty-gritty things, that's going to just get so much simpler. And I teach you the process. I teach you how to make it fit your brain. I do it very visually. I teach you the big concepts and then how to apply it into your business. So anyway, point being, I followed my own systems. So I have this system where I was like, what am I selling at the moment? What I'm selling, what I wanted to talk about was the Streamline Your Business for Time Freedom course. Then I got ChatGPT. I actually gave it some of my files. So I gave it some of the tools like the workbooks and the outlines and things that relate to that topic that I've created in other ways. So I gave it my own voice, my own content to work off. That's where ChatGPT works best, by the way. Give it as much of yourself as you can so that it doesn't just give you random ideas from its own knowledge base. It actually comes back to you with your own stuff. So it then came up with a bunch of ideas for podcast episodes. And of them, I picked ones that I liked and then I tweaked them further. So I then, it's still from my own brain, but it's a thinking partner. We bounce back and forth. I end up creating things that I'm really, really happy with. And I can put my stamp on it and say, I created that. That's me. I'm the human here. But I had a thinking partner along the way to help me move through that process. So I didn't feel stuck thinking, oh, what on earth am I going to talk about? The moment I feel stuck, I pretty much open up the ChatGPT app and it helps me get unstuck. So that's something I would encourage you to play with if you haven't already. And yeah, go and check out the AI as a thinking partner video if you are a Neurodivergent Business Collective member. All right, friends, I'm going to stop it there. If you have questions for me about anything, any corner of my business, anything I've mentioned, I will happily share more, especially, how I use certain tools, or if you've got a question about your business and where you're feeling stuck, please let me know. And do go and check out the Streamline Your Business for Time Freedom course. Like I said, you will get 20% off using the code POD20. The link for everything you need is in the show notes, and I look forward to connecting with you further. Thank you so much for listening. Get in touch with me on Instagram. You'll find me there, neurodivergent.business. Have a beautiful day.